was fun. You did good, honey. Do you feel like you got it a little bit of the
obviously
juices flowing?
fake. Yeah, I was definitely better than reacting. I don't know why, just interacting with other people, I guess. Made me feel more invested, I guess. That was fun, very cathartic.
You're getting there, honey. I really support you a lot, and I know it's difficult. I know you, and once you find your place, you'll be great. But I understand you have trouble getting there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but good all around. Look, we gotta say, I gave it a college try.
Yes, you did.
Certainly engaged.
Yes.
Gave it a shot. All right, we're getting there.
Yeah, I really feel like I really felt like it was going to be a dick in hand experience if we hadn't gone at least and done that.
Yeah, it was getting very dick in hand towards the end of the reaction.
It was kind of like,
I think I would have been like,
I know you're just looking for a way. Look, my theory on this is that because your mother did this thing of saying YouTube is crazy, maybe your dad is crazy. Like there's just a blockage from you just having a natural interaction with people, and it's the same thing that happens sometimes when someone's like, oh, I should be feeling something but I'm not, you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
yeah
I bet that's what it's like. You can tell it's a blockage. It's different than just like I don't like this or I do like this or I'm confused. It's like just this weird blockage, but I know you'll get there. And you'll be a great.
But I'm open. Let's just say I'm open to the idea that maybe I'm just not interested. Just to have it as so that it's not just like this super pressure thing, right? It's like,
sure.
Maybe I'm not. Just to.
I appreciate.
I want the field to be as wide as possible. You know what I mean? To say like, okay, what the hell's going on here? Let's not
and
get
of course
too rigid.
You can do other content. We can just like choose not to stream. So that if you feel like we can just do other things like editing or whatever. But there is something that I think that you and I both like about the mix.
Yeah.
I really
feel
enjoyed.
like I'm ready to transition into edited content right away.
I really enjoyed having an experience of that one guy where he kind of, started off a certain way and then, it kind of moderated.
Yeah.
With the dad thing, but this. These kind of like these dynamics, they're amazingly, common.
I still think he's wrong, though. I think he should see himself, if he's going to say victim, he should say a victim of both his parents.
Yeah.
Don't you think? His mother wanting to replay her trauma and wanting to have kids so that her husband does the same thing to them that she feels was done to her. That's definitely part of it.
I don't think that's exactly how it goes. It's like you marry a man like your father, but you can have sex with him. Because I know what this is like on the male side. You can have sex. He can't just like treat you like that and just go whatever, right? Like a father can. Like, I don't really care. I'm not gonna.
Not that invested.
Like. I know, like, your mother was like, this thing is actually true. 95% of the time you're going to spend with your parents is going to be before you reach 18 years old. After that, it's 5%. And I don't think kids realize that parents generally don't give that much of a shit about them once they turn 18. Like, they care about them theoretically. But it's like kind of like you did your part. Do you know what I mean? And like whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think kids who experience like I was traumatized are like, what the fuck? Like, that's it?
Right.
And I remember that with my parents because I was like, well, I want to know why you rejected me. And my mother's just kind of like, whatever. Like, go to college. Like, I don't care. Right?
Yeah.
I'm doing my thing. You're not really part of it. Okay, and so then you look for the opposite sex partner to now say like, okay, well now I can really figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And like that can be healthy if there's just some unresolved things. You know what I mean? And then you can grow.
Yeah.
But if there's too many unresolved things, what you're going to do is, like, it especially for females, to say, like, okay, now you're going to, like, because men have, you know, this is my experience of men, and her mother interpreted this for her, right? So it's like, okay, motherfucker. So how am I supposed to trust you, right? And that's just a terrible setup for a man, especially when he himself is saying, but like, these are the kind of people that often get together, right?
Yeah.
He feels like, I have unresolved issues, right? So let's resolve them on each other. Well, that's retarded, you know?
Yeah.
And these people, when they're preparing for marriage, should get stopped, and people should say, like, okay, well, I don't know, you know? You should spend more time dating or something. But anyways, shit happens.
But don't you think it's kind of impossible to avoid taking your parent issues out on your opposite sex partner?
Yep. So you take the guy takes his mommy issues out on the woman takes her daddy issues out on the guy. But usually the guy can get over it more than the woman, just because the nature of masculinity. So then he kind of gets over it. She gets worse and worse, and it ends up being really hard on the kids, because the guy gets increasingly like, you know, get the fuck out of here. Like, I can't do this forever, right? You're getting worse and worse. But anyways, yeah, people have to resolve that at some point, and they can.
Do you think the only solution is the Jesse Lee Peterson thing of forgiving your mother and your father? Like, how are you, like let's say you're one of these abused kids and you turn 18.
But see,
what are you supposed to do?
The problem with the victim mentality is that it gives you it's basically saying, like, life fucked me. That's what the victim mentality is. So then how are you going to love God if you think life fucked you? That's why it's so dangerous. But, like, I truly believe, I wouldn't go there, but, like, I let's say this thing happened where he had to get brought to the hospital because the whip's on his back. Okay. I think you can, even though that sounds like, oh my gosh, that's trauma you're never going to be able to get over. I think you can get over it. I think you can say, I remember being in situations similar, like where my dad was acting crazy. And, like, there's this almost visceral temptation you have to say, like, I am a victim. And then, like, later you go, I get it. He was in a bad place, you know? And it really wasn't about me. That's the key. It really wasn't about me. He wanted to love me, but this thing with my mother, it's always this thing with my mother confused him. And so he didn't, like, but in this case, I think it was great. So
I don't know if I believe this.
But I think this guy is close, but, like,
he went to the hospital due to physical lashings from his dad, and his dad, there was no child abuse thing, there was no CPS alert.
Yeah,
I don't believe that. He was 30 lashes. He was bleeding out of his ass. And none of the nurses were like, guys, you might want to check out this family. No.
He fell on a belt 30 times.
Like, I mean, that's not really, you know what I mean?
I don't know, yeah.
It's just like, it reminds me of that Beth woman who said her husband broke her back, and yet, like, he won in the divorce. Like, how did no cops were called and she didn't go to the hospital? Yeah, okay.
Right. But
in America, you can't take your kid to the hospital for physical abuse that you did to them. The problem is,
well, I don't know how old he was or whatever, but, like, yeah, like, I fucking, like, John was to the point where it was like, if I touch him, he was going to go accuse me of assault. So, I mean, it's gotten worse, but I remember a kid when I was in, or a guy when I was in one of the, either my mom's church or my dad's church, who did, like, he took his shirt off and showed where he had gotten, like, whipped, and he looked like one of those slaves, you know, where it was like scarring, where it had, like, scarred over and over and over. And at the time you think, like, oh, that's terrible. But I mean, it's not I don't think physical violence is so much worse than, well, you know what it's like to have, like, emotional, sexual, you know, years long kind of, right? And I'm sure you'd much rather have a few scars than that. But nevertheless, I'm not saying any of it's good.
Well, isn't the point that it's really the physical violence? It is the emotional thing that gets you. It's,
yeah,
you know what I mean. It's not really so much the actual pain.
Yeah.
as the fact that the person you trusted did
Well, you know,
this to you.
we were watching yesterday.
So it always goes
trying
back to
convince you
emotional
that
abuse.
The intellectual things are interesting to you. And we were watching. So we were watching like the greatest car disaster ever, which was at Le Mans, 24-hour. Okay, and so at Le Mans in 1955, they didn't have the right safety stuff. A car went off, and what they call the bonnet, which means the hood, it literally like decapitated like 20 people because the thing was going like 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It decapitated. So like there were people who, I don't know why I think it's funny, but like they were like kids with no head who just like had an ice cream cone that they just like, you could tell were just like, and then head's gone. Crazy, right? But I don't think those people were particularly traumatized by that. I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's a horrendous disaster, something like 75 people died almost instantly. Had no idea it was coming. It was just this guy like kind of came out of an area too quick and clipped.
I mean, they might not want to go to another racing event, but I don't think it's going to like stay with them for their whole lives.
I don't even think that. And they actually finished the race too. And the guy who was basically responsible for it kept racing until he died in a car crash.
A couple years later.
It's not, and you know, the other one we saw was like, of course, the Ukrainian Air Force was doing an air show and fucked it royally, killed 77 people. And the guy ejected right before he did, like before the plane landed and just did all this. And I think he's probably fine too, because like he kind of says like, you know, it was like poorly organized, it wasn't my fault. I'm just saying it's what's interesting is this idea of trauma. It has to have this kind of thing that happens. And then you go, okay, well, that was very traumatic. Okay. And people don't understand that it's not so much the thing happening as the interpretation of it that somehow you were wronged or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can then be traumatic. So it's very
your participation,
important.
Your guilt, basically.
Well, you start, like, people lie to you. It's off a little bit. And then you get this sense that you're a victim, right? And I think the Jews largely, like, were told this by, you know, it's not clear. Like, there was a lot of shenanigans in telling the story of what happened in World War II. And I'm not going to say, like, pine sap that, like, yeah, they were a little bit rough. It was brutal. It was brutal in a particular way. And I think it's very important that you're honest about why it was brutal and that it wasn't. They're actually the most interesting Holocaust movies, which you never watch with me because you find them boring, are movies like there's one called Shoah, which is like 8 hours long. And they go into Poland and they interview where the shit really happened, which is in these Polish villages. And they interview the Poles who were there at the time.
I've seen bits and pieces.
You've seen similar things. And you get the sense that the Poles are like, well, they kind of had it coming, but I didn't want to do, like, I wasn't into what the Germans were doing. So you get a sense that there was like resentment that facilitated this like incredible violence that they weren't altogether opposed to because of deeper resentments that had to do with like feeling exploited and that the Jews kind of were the merchants and that sort of stuff. And there, I think you get a better picture of how this sort of stuff happens. So you don't say we're unique victims. The only reason we got slaughtered was because we're just different. No. There's resentments like there's always been. And when there's a dominant merchant class that's kind of shoving it in the face of the actual majority population, that breeds resentment over time. Yeah. You know, and yet like there's also a kind of respect for them, but like, you know what I mean? So this is just called history. And there are these things that happen. They don't happen for no reason and make you like uniquely unable to navigate like the universe and you're just a victim and God's fucked us all over so we can do whatever we want. That's the danger of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because don't you think, like, let's say, so we go to Le Mans, we'd be the type of morons who would go to a race like this, like, hey, someone's give us tickets.
Yeah.
We're sitting there and we watch like 20 people get their heads cut off by a hood of a car that just slices their heads off. Now, I'm not saying you're just going to like be like, based.
You want pizza or pasta?
But
Should we get Taco Bell?
I don't think you would be traumatized by it. It's so like freakish. It's just like,
I think you would be affected. I don't think you would be traumatized.
you'd
in
be
the
like,
sense
that,
that
oh my God, that's terrible. But once you realize like, okay, like the car is no longer a threat to me, and it's just like, holy shit, right? You'd want to pitch in and help, but it would just be like,
well, what about?
I don't know how you'd get.
Hold on a
traumatized.
second. What about like the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Now, they were just civilians. Those bombs were not their fault, but of course they were traumatized by that, right?
I don't know. I think Japan relatively quickly just kind of picked up the pieces, even though I do believe it was wrong to use those weapons against them. Unnecessary, totally unjustified. Japan's like pretty much buddies with the U.S. at this point, and have been.
Yeah, that is true.
And when
yeah.
Japanese tourists came to New York, it was like, oh, with their little cameras in the 70s and 80s and their Sony radios and their Awas and their Toyotas.
And their Hyundais.
Wrong country.
What's a Hyundai from?
Korea.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I don't really think it always
Hyundai.
does. Like the Japanese had no real like long-standing generational conflict with Americans. It's just like there was none, right? You got a whole ocean separating us. So it's like I don't really think there's, it's like a
So basically, what you're
show,
saying,
right?
if something happens to you that's not your fault and it's kind of like seems random, that's not likely to be traumatic, even if it's something crazy. Traumatic in the sense that it
I would
stays
say
with
like,
you.
I had that like 7-week long like neck injury. Okay. And I'm telling you, you couldn't have devised torture. Like I would have sucked any dick or whatever if I could have like made that end, right?
Yeah.
Signed
yeah.
any confession, spat on any crucifix, right? I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, you're a scumbag. You don't get it.
I like to think I wouldn't, but like, all right, much easier
Let's be real.
than my time in prison, which was like a cakewalk. I mean, I felt the pain when I was sleeping. It didn't go away when I was sleeping. It was just, it was crazy. Okay, but like I wasn't traumatized by it, and I know what caused it was driving, like stressed. But we got back in the RV relatively quickly after that, and I was like, "No, well, this is stupid," and like I never really figured it out or learned any exercises. It could happen again.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I mean? It has to be some kind of like sense of personally being like hurt by someone who shouldn't have hurt you.
Yeah.
And I think you had that with your mother because it was just so extreme. But like, I didn't really have it with her too much. A little bit like, what the fuck? But like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a little more like, okay, some people, at least it's over is my thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. Bye now. So, I mean, I just think that probably for us today in the modern world, at least in the West, is like our issue. But what's weird about it is like you won't find like Saint Augustine talking about this or the medieval people, because up until very recently, you had a kind of, I guess you would call it a patriarchal society. And just like in which, even in the Roman Empire, there were certain like understandings of nature which have only recently been flipped.
Yeah.
And this is causing this problem. And I do think my generation is the first generation that got it full frontal, like full force. And I think your generation, and like we had no idea what was going on, but like the females had the upper hand and now do. And so that's why I'm saying, like, we're catching our breath now, and you girls have to help us. And together we can, at least in individual families, we can like make it out. Because you have actually more to lose in not saving guys like me, your daddies, than we have to lose. Because we're already fucked, right?
Yeah.
We kind of know it. But like, you have your whole future. And I believe if we can get the word out, like, you'll start, like, I do think the hope is that you'll start seeing, okay, I'm going to become the monster that is my mother, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
The only hope for the Zoomer girl is to ally with her father, no matter what happens.
No, I have no hope.
None of them are going to do it, but it is their only hope to avoid becoming their mothers and becoming the same awful, bitter old whores that their mothers are.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen.
The Zoomer guys won't do the same with females because I don't think it works that way. It's just not doable. Like, it's weird. But that woman, when she came on, like, she immediately gets all the Zoomer guys. They just want to interact with her. They find her funny. I find it annoying and distracting, you know?
Yeah.
But like some, you know, sort of haggard woman my age, the Zoomer boys, they're into that. They're not, it's not so, they you know, they basically say to me, like, how come Grace won't give it up for me, you know? But they're not actually interested in girls their own
They're
age.
a generation of subs.
At best, they're interested in women 15 years older than them. Mm-hmm. At best. That's what they want. They all want it. Look at how, I hate to say it, Dalmatian Dog was all into you and is even more into the Rubster.
Okay.
She's much older than you. She's, I mean, Lalo kind of won't go there because I think he's like, that doesn't look alpha or whatever. But he had a passionate relationship with her the whole time he was there, right?
They had a full-on kink dom sub relationship in public.
It was like
Exhibitionism.
24/7 BDSM. That's what it was. And he kept going for more, and she kept going for more. And so, like, I don't know what to say about those guys, but I'm glad we hooked up, Chris.
Well, hang on a second.
Connected. But I'm telling you, I love this idea, but you don't believe in it, but I love this idea of predatory teenage girls or young 20. You girls are right at your prime now. You should force your fathers to champion you.
It's the only hope. And you know
and the other thing is
the dads are already cucks, so you have to be doms. Like, it's
exactly
no hope.
You have to be super strong about it and understand that yes, this man's your father, but he's also a man and he's hates his life and is like loves the idea of a woman being on his side, but like can't conceive of it at this point. You know
it's a competition between you and your mother. She wants to win. If she wins, you turn into her or a worse version. If she loses, your life might be really tough because she's going to be really fucking pissed off. But you won't turn into her. That's what. But
at least we can get a handful of people to do what we're doing. Maybe it won't be on YouTube or whatever, but you'll just see, like, happy dads. Like, instead of having a midlife crisis, you have a midlife solution. You know what I mean?
It's
which has a lot of the elements of a midlife crisis, but it beats the mother, because if my midlife crisis is like that, I really form a great connection with my daughter, the mom can't really complain about that.
Oh, but they will.
Right?
But yes, they can't really.
Oh, yeah, but you got them. Mm-hmm. Because you're saying, well, I'm just paying attention to our lovely daughter in her career.
Yes.
And
they will go to the
that's very
sexual thing
feminist.
and the abuse thing. They will go there, but
they've played that card too many times.
true, yeah. Which is why nobody really cares about what my mother says about you and me. Nobody really cares. Not even the courts. She writes it in the court stuff. They're like, no.
Those
whatever.
affidavits, like they could have like a form that goes like, okay, abuse.
One
like
through
Grok could write it.
1 through 10. How much do you hate this guy? Okay, 8. Okay, so he's abusive. He's sexually violent.
Is anyone on like kind of on his side? Okay, well he raped them and brainwashed them, right? Grok can write it, and the judges all know that this is what's going on. That's the interesting thing.
Yes. The lawyers too.
It's boring.
The lawyers literally encourage. Yeah, the lawyers encourage the women to lie.
Yeah, raped her. Yeah.
Right.
Because when I did briefly have a lawyer, she's like, "Oh yeah, of course, yeah, like, right." You know what I mean? It's just like on both sides. It's just a game to extract money, and the defense lawyers all lie. They know they'll lie. You know, it's just like, okay, well, this is how we work it out. You accuse him of this. You know, but he gives you whatever in the end, and just move on with your life, right?
Yeah.
No one cares. No one thinks there's justice going on.
Yeah.
But it does tend to, it caused a lot of damage.
Yeah. And women my age, we're being set up to be even worse versions of Gen X women because the men are even more subs. They're pre-subbed for us by our mothers.
But can I tell you something?
It's awful.
It's the guys like me who were stupid but smart in a way, who leaned into the trad thing and had lots of kids that, like, yeah, you only need one of them to take your side.
True.
When you get
You only need
fucked.
one.
You only
True.
need one. It's great if you have more.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if I didn't have you on my side, like, I'm fucked,
You
right?
would have
So
been-
the idea of, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to beat the system by not having any kids with her, her sister got $2 million from a guy, like, who went
Didn't have any
route.
kids,
No,
married
no.
for like, what, 15 years or something? Yeah. So.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting, like, you fall backwards in, because you'd say, like, oh, well, now you're super fucked, but, like, it's also your only hope
Yeah. Yeah.
that you were good to your daughter.
Vogantan
And
says,
she-
"Oh, what? How you know? Is it really going so well for you?" I'm not turning into my mother. That's off the table. That's a huge win for me. I don't care if I'm poor the rest of my life. I don't think I will be, but that. Do you guys understand the generational trauma that I don't know if I've necessarily avoided, but 100% divorce rate on my mother's side. I mean, I guarantee. I would bet like 80% my sister will get divorced.
But
And I don't want that to be true, but I bet she will get divorced.
But you realize, like say you forget the divorce thing, but you take this like abuse thing. Okay, so it's amazing you have these people who go, I was abused by my dad, right? And they're like, and you're like, okay, and then they let you know, like, they're doing drugs right now, right? And they're, guess what kind of woman they're going to be with, right? Someone just like their mother, right? And then they're going to find themselves, they're already doing the drugs to excuse the behavior. They're going to just keep doing it. And it goes on infinitely. You know what I mean? It's not about you, really. It's about you saving, like, all the future generations
Yeah.
after you, because
If you look back at it,
people just go glibly, like, oh, I'm a victim. I hate my dad. I'm doing drugs. I drink a lot. And here I am on Discord. And I like crazy chicks. That shouldn't be a problem. Because I would never do what that fucker did. Well, what
Right.
did he do? Well, he wasn't really there for me because he was on drugs. Really? So, you know what I mean? They will sit there and you go, like, you're on drugs. but at least he was raising a family, and you're not. You think you're going to be on less drugs when you have the stresses of raising a family? Yeah. Like,
Right.
you're out of your mind. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm all set. I feel like a victim. The devil just has this way of tricking you into thinking like, okay, that should be fine. I'm a victim. I haven't figured out what really happened, but let's all move to Palestine and see how that goes. Should be fine. As long as we all feel like victims. And not that much long after that, it's like you have created a literal hell on earth.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get those stories. You know what's the interesting thing about that? Very few actual Holocaust survivors moved to Israel. You know that?
I didn't know that.
It was not a place for Holocaust survivors. Like, that was the theory, but they didn't want them there, and those people just generally weren't into it. Most Holocaust survivors actually went to Europe or America. So it was this other group of people who were not really so much.
I can see that. Why would you want to go to another place where there's like more war and conflict happening? Like,
Yeah, and
why would that be?
I do
appealing?
think some of the ones who did go there were like, we're doing to them what was, guys, no. And
Right.
it was like, get out of here.
Sweaty
But
Vibes
I'm a
says, "Can we get
Holocaust. Get
homie-"
the fuck out of here. Holocaust, schmolocaust. Get lost.
You're an anti-Semite, actually. Can we get homie
Our
some
people.
frames that fit his face? You know, those are like $5 reading glasses from Joblot. People have
They're all
pointed out the
scratched up.
fact that they may be cat-eye women's glasses. We will work on the optics. What kind of frames of glasses would you like? Circle, square, rectangle? I don't think rectangle. That makes you look too dorky. You had circle for a while.
They have to be
I think that was a
bigger.
good look. Yeah, they have to be bigger. Let me see.
No, Grace, I love this idea also as a joke that we go back to Texas. I get big heels on huge cowboy boots, right? And a big cowboy hat
Yeah,
and a big jacket.
yeah.
And I think I would be literally 7'2" at that point, right?
Yes, yes. Yes,
I would be like a real freak. Like, no one sees anyone that size.
yes.
Especially
yes.
that, like, kind of, like, I'm not very built, but, like, I am wide. Like, I
It
look
would
like
be terrifying.
Cowboy Frankenstein. Yeah. With, like, a huge gun or something.
We can't do these again. That was a big mistake. There was some woman at he went to the lens doctor.
I was like,
or
are you
whatever.
guys sure this doesn't look
Without
like a
me.
Jewish woman's? And they're like, absolutely not. No.
And he came back with these, and I was like, "Who the fuck told you this looked good?" He was like, "Wait, they told me there that it was a good look," and I was like, "Damn." I think the circle, those aren't bad. Oh, they're terrible. What are you talking about?
They're supposed to not draw a lot of attention to themselves.
I know, but they're so like tech bro, don't you think? I could be wrong.
I don't know.
And then we have the circles. Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
that's a good look. That's a pretty good look. Sophisticated.
Your facial expression looks retarded. I don't know why. I think this was for like a joke because you had the book in your hand. Much better, Ben. You look like a professor there. Very
Yeah.
stoic.
Jedi
the
Triggerman has me.
the circle's
I think
good.
it's like Holocaust survivors moved to Israel in significant numbers. I don't know how to say like what I mean by that. I think it's like if
More
you
than
say
two-thirds?
Europeans, if you're saying Europeans who were in Europe at the end of the war, I don't know that. Is that what a Holocaust survivor is? If you're like in France at the end of World War II and you're Jewish, does that mean you're a Holocaust survivor? I guess so. I would take
they're
it to
saying
mean like the
survivors
people
in
that were in the
Europe.
camps. The camps.
Well, it looks like
I
you're
don't
just
know.
wrong on that point. 2/3 of them moved to Israel. Apparently, according to Jedi Triggerman. I mean, they're saying Holocaust survivors in Europe. What does that mean? I think it
What
means
is a
any Jews
Holocaust
that
survivor?
survived.
So if you're living in London in 1944 and then you're living in London in 1949, you're a Holocaust survivor?
I don't know. Is that true, guys? I did assume, like you, that it would be people who were taken to the camps or put in the ghettos or whatever.
Yeah, I'm saying I would think you would have to have like gotten liberated at the end of the war from the camps. To be a
What makes
survivor.
you a Holocaust survivor? If they were persecuted by the Nazis, lived under Nazi occupation. Yeah, okay, so you're right. So basically,
So, but it wouldn't have been English Jews,
no.
but like French Jews.
Were French Jews persecuted by the Nazis?
Well, they lived in Nazi.
Oh, they lived under Nazi
controlled
occupation.
territories.
Yeah.
So, what about Italian Jews?
Would Italian Jews be considered Holocaust survivors?
Well, those are not Nazi allied regimes, right?
Yeah. So, apparently
I'm
they
just saying-
were deporting Italian Jews. How many?
I'm just saying that, like,
Holocaust.
it doesn't feel the same as if you were like in one of the camps when the Allies got there,
Yeah.
as it would be that you, like, lived it.
I guess it depends on your definition of Holocaust survivor.
It does seem like I'm wrong. Some Jew told me that.
Blame it on-
Bilzerian.
It was Dan Bilzerian.
He's a rabid anti-Semite.
Vogue Intent is under the impression that you watch a lot of Holocaust denialism documentaries.
No,
Grace will be banned from Grok.
I'm a Holocaust. What would you call it? I'm a Holocaust. This is the opposite of a denier. Expansionist. I'm a Holocaust maximalist. I think it could have been 8 million Jews that were killed. So there. I think the number's a little low. Possibly. I'm a Irvingist. I'm a David Irving guy. I know I'm not a David Irving guy, but like, I think we as the world have to read the books of David Irving and then go, okay, well, he's kind of Anglo and kind of like a little bit pro-Hitler, but like he largely, this is something we can live with. I mean, they know the like death camp concept, it doesn't work. Mounds, nameless mounds filled with bodies, absolutely terrible. Worse,
Death
really.
camp in the sense that a lot of people died.
But it's worse. And they were anonymously shot in the middle of the woods. They had to dig their own pit to be shot in, and when they were shot, men, women, children, absolutely all that stuff. Not just Jews, but like a lot of Jews. And they were rounded up, and that is true. So, was it orchestrated from Berlin? I don't think so. I think it was people taking things into their own hands and things getting like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the massacres that happened in Vietnam. It's like people go crazy, and they were pushed along those lines by a lot of the rhetoric, but then they took it into their own hands and went crazy, and is Hitler innocent because of that? No, I think he had an incendiary role, but I think that idea that he had this whole plan and all this stuff, it's not. Why do we have to talk about this? It may be true. Anyways, I'm just kidding. I believe it all.
We're just exploring. That was irony, folks. That was
no, but I was thinking
political satire, as Andrew Wilson would describe it.
I watched a scolding video about how some guy had visited Auschwitz, and that there were people who were making out or something, or kids who were on a trip weren't showing the proper respect. And I thought it would be funny to have someone who's insisting on being so reverent of Auschwitz that he becomes kind of a Nazi. And that the people are just basically respectful, but he's just a kind of
enforcing
his own emotional gas chamber.
Enforcing
that
emotional gas chamber.
That would be an interesting. That would be a funny prank video.
An Auschwitz Nazi who's saying you're not being respectful enough.
Nazi. Yeah, he's right.
Holocaust Nazi.
Which is ironic. I mean, obviously.
No touching.
I mean, I kind of agree with him, but it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of didn't we, aren't we kind of saying it's okay to be who you are?
It's peak irony to say to be extremely authoritarian in Auschwitz about respecting Auschwitz.
Yeah.
You might want to think about that before you go ahead and do that, but
yeah.
Anyways, Dad, look, it's been 7 hours. It's 3:30 in the morning. I say we call it. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
I'm not saying I'm an expert
crisis.
on any of that stuff, by the way. Just my take.
It's not your take. It's satire. We love the Jews, and we respect their story.
Yeah, I don't really see, because it's one of those things with the onion skin. I just would say this. I think probably a lot of Jews would be behind me on this. When you make something such a sacred cow, you tempt people to doubt it.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the argument would be, if it's so can't be looked at, there must be some lie that you're telling.
What are you trying to hide? Yeah.
And I think if you go into and there are cuckoo clock denialists, but David Irving is, I think, a really good historian. I think. And he tells the story that it's just not the same story as, the Elie Wiesel stuff, but that it's kind of worse in a way, but that it's not helpful that we tweak history a little bit because, whatever, stick to the facts, be real and don't lie, because anyways, that's the problem with Trump. It's not so much the thing that happened, it's the lies that come to get accepted, and then we get stuck because we end up with Jordan Peterson going well, evil humans are capable of, you know what I mean? And it's yeah, it's terrible, but same shit as always went on, just on a bigger scale. And you're not going to solve any problems if you make your victimhood unique in history. You're not helping yourselves, because you're binding yourselves to repeat it, which is what's going on now. And it's kind of one of those tragedies, right?
Yeah.
If you got beaten by your dad and you're just a victim of him, you're going to be sitting there pounding your kids in the same way. And you're going to go, I can't believe it, right? But it's one of those weird things.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny in a way. Like what's going on in Gaza right now is like this enormous joke. It's just like, because we've all gotten this Holocaust thing drilled into our brains, and now it's like, guys, you're creating a concentration camp now near Egypt.
Right. We don't notice anything wrong about this.
It's funny.
It is funny.
It's funny, but it's a kind of dark humor. All right, Grace, I can tell you're saying, like, can we wrap it up, dude? All right, so.
I'm just.
Not dick in hand, but I'm kind of, because you're just sitting there going, I want to end this. So. Just end it.
All right. Good night,
Love you,
guys.
sweetie. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. And the answer to the question, am I more based than this hot girl, is she's not hot.
Good. Yeah, that's good. She's not hot. She's mid. So
She's
it doesn't
mid.
matter. I don't care if I'm more based
Rosamund
than a mid
Pike
girl.
is mid, and her personality is super mid. Okay? So, fuck off.
Good night.